we have a big update that has absolutely massive implications for the Dodgers as they kick off the 2024 World Series this Friday night. And I'm here to tell you all about it. Hey, this is Mike Nelson of Dodgers Digest. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I want to thank the almost 12% of you, the ones that have already hit the subscribe button. We're getting thousands of you now watching these videos. But 88% of you have not hit the subscribe button yet. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any Dodger content. Myself and Brad J are bringing you everyday Dodger videos. Of course, as we break down the Dodgers, successes, as now they are in the World Series, they are pennant champions. And we have a lot of content to get to this entire week as they kick off the World Series this Friday against the hated Yankees. But I also wanted to start off today's video. We got some sad news, unfortunately, in the baseball world, and of course for us Dodger fans, the legendary Fernando Valenzuela has passed away at the age of 63. This news was just confirmed a little less than 2 hours ago. We're going to talk more about Fernando's career and, of course, the legacy he left behind for the Dodgers and for baseball in general coming up later in the video. But let's get into, of course, breaking news with Jack Flaherty. Jack Flaherty is going to start the World Series Game 1 for the Dodgers. That's right, Jack Flaherty is going to start for the Dodgers. Of course, Jack Flaherty had a tough start in Game 5 of the NLCS. I mean, that was a difficult game to say the least for Jack Flaherty. He of course was dealing with an illness. That's what Dave Roberts of course said after that start. And you just hope that Jack Flaherty can bounce back and have a better game in this massive start against the Yankees, right? I mean, the Yankees are one of the best teams in baseball, and the Dodgers, of course, are the best team. On paper and just in general, they are the best. But they're probably taking on the second best team, right? And Jack Flaherty is definitely going to have his hands full in this series. He's gonna have to definitely work in this game. He's gonna have a difficult time if he doesn't have command over his pitches, and of course if he doesn't bring the fastball up to where it was in Game 1 of the NLCS when he pitched 7 innings of shutout baseball. He was definitely throwing the fastball at a much faster rate than it was in Game 5, right? And I think that was in the end, that's what really made the difference, to say the least, for Jack Flaherty and for him to have success. For him not to have success in that game against the Mets in Game 5 was definitely, I think, the velocity on the fastball was just not there. And, made bad pitches. We've seen this before, unfortunately, for Jack Flaherty. Inconsistent pitching, which is what I think worries a lot of Dodger fans going into this World Series. The Dodgers are going to have enough pitching to win this World Series, right? Because you have to have kind of elite pitching to kind of win a World Series, right? I think that's already been agreed upon by baseball experts and baseball fans alike. And the Dodgers at this time don't have that, right? But they had, of course, a historic offensive output in the NLCS, right? I mean, they had the most runs ever in a National League, series, right? He basically had the most runs ever for a team in a National League playoff series, which is absolutely historic. So the question is, are they going to be able to do that again in this, World Series? That's going to be the big question. How many runs can they get off this Yankees pitching? How much runs can they give to give that support, that run support that the Dodgers pitchers desperately need? Now, Yoshinobu Yamamoto is going to be starting Game 2, which of course allows both pitchers to make a couple starts. The series prolongs. Yamamoto is not going to pitch on less than 5 days rest, so he's gonna pitch a maximum of 2 games in the series, and that's why they're bringing him out early, right? So he can pitch later on in the series, right? Game 6 if necessary. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the Dodgers, Yamamoto, looked pretty good in his last start, right? He looked good against the Mets, and of course he looked great against the Padres in Game 5, right, of the NLDS. That was a historic start to give the Dodgers a win in a must-win situation. So, I'm not too worried about Yamamoto. I think we're going to get a good Yamamoto. I mean, look at it. Look at the last time he pitched against the Yankees. What a start he had. So, not too concerned with him. More concerned with Jack Flaherty. And comment below. What do you think? Who do you think is going to? Who are you more worried about? Are you worried more with Jack Flaherty, or are you worried more with Yoshinobu Yamamoto? Good question for you guys out there. I would go with Yamamoto. I think he's going to be the ace of the future. Of course, you got Ohtani, right? But Ohtani, he's going to be pitching probably next year, maybe for the next couple years. But I think eventually you're going to see him become a full-time designated hitter because look at him. He's one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter in baseball. And I just don't see the Dodgers wanting to sacrifice that so he can pitch as well. And that's when I think Yamamoto is going to step in and be the future ace of this Dodger team, if he's not already that ace on a potentially World Series championship team. That's right, the Dodgers are 4 wins away. Hard to believe they're 4 wins away from winning the World Series. And this could be a massive moment for, Yamamoto, to say the least. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about that coming up, but Walker Buehler is going to be the starter, of course, for Game 3 or 4 from Yankee Stadium. That was also confirmed today by ESPN in this article. So Walker Buehler, could have potentially pitched Game 7 of the NLCS. It didn't happen, so going to save him for Game 3. We'll talk more about how that's going to go, I think, once we know how the first 2 games go of this series. But now I wanted to kind of talk about, to close out the show, of course, about the legendary Fernando Valenzuela, who unfortunately passed away tonight at the age of 63. Just really sad news, to say the least. Fernando Valenzuela was a legendary player, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. And, for, I think, Mexican Americans like myself, around the world, he was very important, I think, as an athlete, and just everything that he did for the Hispanic community. I think it's actually, it's very powerful what he was able to achieve. And, I think he gave a lot of people, hope, right? I think a lot of young athletes, have looked up to Fernando and what he achieved, and what he achieved in such a short time, right? Because, you look at his, the Dodgers, of course, confirming the news tonight, but, Venezuela went on to become a broadcaster, for many years, almost, 20 years, Spanish language broadcaster for the Dodgers, of course, working with the great Jaime Jarrín for quite a while. And then, of course, had to step away from broadcasting, to focus on his health. That was the start of the playoffs. That was what the team announced. And, Valenzuela, I think, is most well known for that 1981 season, one of the best rookie seasons of all time. Of course, you got to remember he started in 1980. He started his Major League Baseball career in 1980 as a reliever, but he got a chance to start opening day. The legendary, rest in peace, Tommy Lasorda gave him a shot, after Jerry Royce was injured. And, gave the ball to a young Valenzuela who had never started a game in his career. And, of course, the rest is history. The birth of Fernando Mania in 81. And to cap it off, the team defeated the Yankees in the World Series in 81. It's kind of hard to believe that Valenzuela, of course, dies just days before basically the rematch, right? Because the Dodgers and Yankees have not played in the World Series since that iconic series in 81. The Dodgers won in 6 games after losing the first 2 games. Valenzuela started Game 3 of that World Series at Dodger Stadium, basically a must-win situation that Valenzuela, of course, lived up to the moment and delivered. So, yeah, rest in peace, Fernando. I think, nobody will ever forget this guy. He's one of the best players of all time, and, his legacy will, live on forever.